Good evening and welcome to the Hamilton Report. Today is the 6th day of June 2020, which means that, 2022, which means that we are quickly approaching primaries, 3 weeks and 1 day to go. We have a great show for you tonight. I'm glad that you're with us and stay tuned. I'm delighted that you're with us this evening. It's always a pleasure to welcome you, and I'm always grateful that you welcome us into your home or your place of business every Monday evening at 6:30. It does me really proud to know that you are appreciating the guests that we have on. You're learning from them. You're learning about them the same way that I do every week. While I personally know many of the guests that we have on this program, I still learn something new about them invariably every time we have another guest on. And I'm just so thankful that you're here, that you're sharing this broadcast and the Democratic talking points that are so important in our state right now. Our scheduled guest this evening is Senator Connie Johnson, who is running for the governorship of Oklahoma. She's one of two Democratic candidates, and I'm thrilled that she agreed to be with us this evening. She is not here yet. And so we're going to take a few minutes and I just want to share some thoughts with you. As you know, this was another deadly weekend in America. Nearly 100 people were shot and wounded this weekend in the United States, with a number of those being killed. We are way past time for thoughts and prayers, and I'm grateful that there is at least some momentum now in Congress to do something about this tragedy that exists throughout our country, because we have allowed the NRA and other groups like that to simply run away with the Second Amendment. It was not meant to be what it is today. And, Oklahoma has no red flag laws. In fact, we have a law that says we cannot have red flag laws, which means that if you suspect someone of having a mental illness or they're intoxicated or anything else, you cannot report them because there will be no one there to take your call. That's fascinating to me when you counter that with the fact that we now have a bounty on people assisting women who are seeking abortions in the state of Oklahoma. $10,000 for the successful prosecution of anyone who helps a woman seeking reproductive health care. That means an Uber driver. It means your mother-in-law. It means your sister. It means someone who made a bus reservation. You can see where this is going to end. But in Oklahoma, we have no such laws to protect citizens against guns. And I'm tired of hearing about, oh, well, they purchased it legally. Well, of course, if there are no distractions to that, then they will be legally owning a firearm. But what does that mean? It means nothing in a state where we are a Second Amendment sanctuary state. So if you get in trouble somewhere else for a handgun violation, you can come here and rest at ease. It's insanity. It's insanity. It's insanity. Speaking of insane, Jana Lewis Harkins writes, what about those wacky Republican campaign ads? Oh my. I have to point to the single cringiest political campaign ad I have ever seen. I'm not even going to call this candidate's name, but he is running to replace Inhofe on the Republican side of the ticket. He's worked for Inhofe for years and I guess thinks exactly like he does. But his latest commercial, if you haven't seen it, I hope that you get a chance to see how cringeworthy it truly is. It's a prayer talking about, God, they closed my church. Well, who's they? And God, take us back. Back to what? A time of of repression against Oklahomans, against America's citizens? Is that what you want? But the whole thing is doing exactly, frankly, what Jesus said don't do, and that's pray on the street corner. I'm not going to get into a theological issue here. I'm just saying if someone is that intent on saying they have Christian values, that's reason enough to look really deep into them, because um, I believe that you show what you believe by your actions. And if that's the case, this individual is showing us that he's not who he says he is. Speaking of people who are not who they say they are, let's talk a moment about the present and hopefully very temporary governor of the state of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt. He was crowing about having this special legislative session. I welcome the legislature back to take control of the budget and do as I ask them to do. Well, let me tell you something, Kev. It wasn't you that called this special election. It was Republicans and Democrats who are tired of you taking credit for everything and doing nothing. When Republicans in our legislature, including the Speaker of the House, call you out so publicly, you know that you are not doing well for Oklahomans. Of course, anybody who lives here knows that. It's no secret. And so I'm amazed at the blind leading the blind on your Facebook post and your Twitter account. I'll vote for this God-fearing man no matter what. Well, then you're going to just keep on getting what you're getting. His net worth is over $200 million, and I do not begrudge anyone for being wealthy. But I want you to think about how that compares to the average Oklahoman. It's there's nowhere near that realm. As a matter of fact, most Oklahomans, if they were hit with a $400 bill out of the blue, for example, a water tank repair. And I'm not talking about buying a new water tank and replacing it. I'm talking about just a repair. That could literally prevent you from paying your rent. And so now he's talking about, Oklahomans need relief. Well, his so-called relief plan basically would put less than $70 per person back in their pocket. Now, that is no relief, and it's just more of the craziness that goes on with this man. It's like a shell game. He takes democratic ideas and then pretends they're his own. If we look at what the Democrats proposed, and this was leader Emily Virgin who proposed the reduction of the state income, the state tax, the sales tax on groceries. Oklahoma is one of just a handful of states that even taxes groceries. But it was a Democrat who proposed this. It was Democrats who fought for it, and now he's claiming it as his own idea. Do not be fooled. Speaking of being fooled, it would seem to me that so many Republicans think that we are all fools in this state, that we won't do our research, that we will not think about what we're trying to accomplish in moving forward. And so therefore, he gets to do what he wants, gets to say what he wants, and he believes that he will just fly to victory come November. Well, friends, I have a very different plan in mind, and I hope that you also have a plan as well. And that plan is to vote. Here's just an update. We're 9 minutes into this broadcast, and our guest has not arrived yet. So we're just going to continue talking about some of the issues that are happening now that we all must be paying attention to. Not only is it time to support a candidate, it's time for us to stop with the negativity. A candidate called me today and he said, Scott, I don't know what to do, because I called donors and I asked them for support, and they said, well, the data shows that a Democrat cannot win this. And that's the end of the conversation. No, that should be the beginning of the conversation, friends. We should be saying, okay, that may be what the data shows, but we also know if we can get enough Democrats to turn out and to vote, we can still win. And that goes for congressional seats, it goes for state house seats, it goes for board of election, school board elections. What it means is we cannot be blinded by negativity. And we must stop with being negative to one another. I don't know how this became fashionable, but it truly did, where Democrats attract other Democrats that they're like-minded with, but then attack other people within the party. That gets us nowhere. The innuendo, the talking about, oh, I have reliable source who says, no, if you didn't come to me or you didn't come to the chair, then you don't have a reliable source. I'm saying this because unless or until we come together to work as one party looking to advance the role of Oklahomans just in living, then we're going to keep getting what we've had and things will continue to get worse. I started talking about guns. Well, that's an issue that won't change with our present leadership in this state. It won't change. Neither will improving our education system. Our public education system can be and should be a role model for other states. But yet we keep defunding it. The budget that was just approved increases public school funding by 0.5%. Even the governor is talking about inflation. So how in the world do you think that a 0.5% increase is going to get you anywhere in education? It won't. It will not allow teachers to stay in Oklahoma. It will not allow children to read on grade level because the resources are spread too thin. No, it's time for us to pay real close attention to what's being said, but even more attention to what's being done, or more precisely, what is not being done. Representative Andy Fugate says it's time for us to roll up our sleeves, and boy, that could not be truer, because it's time for all of us. This weekend was OKC Pride on 39th Street, and I was stunned, amazed, and thrilled to see all of the Democrats out, all of the candidates, all of their supporters, all of the people who believe in Oklahoma and the fact that we really do have a shot of making this a better place for all of us to live. Now, I have no faith in the state of Oklahoma to be anything more than the GOP's few. Tommy, I appreciate that sentiment. I truly do. But I want to say that we cannot give up hope. We cannot give up faith in a positive change, because that is what allowed us as Democrats in Oklahoma to slip into the position we find ourselves today. It was apathy. It was just this feeling of despair. And believe me, I get it. I remember a time when Oklahoma was run by the Democratic Party. And boy, that has changed. And with that change has resulted in years and years and years of neglect for Oklahomans. There's no reason why someone should have to work 3 jobs just to pay their rent and afford a little food, but that's where we are. Here's Representative Fugate again. Republicans are on record as saying if they return next year, they will pass private school vouchers that will take hundreds of millions of public dollars and use these to pay for tuition kids already attending private schools. Now think about that. If you can afford private school, more power to you. If you believe that's what's best for your children, your family, then do what is right. But most counties in Oklahoma do not even have private schools. So the whole notion of having a voucher so that someone can go to a private school is no help if the nearest private school is 60 miles, 100 miles away, and you have to provide your own transportation to get to and from the school. You see, this I guess sounds good to them as they're blowing up the public education system. but it is nothing could be further from the truth. We're still awaiting for our guests to arrive. And in the meantime, um, we're just going to keep talking. Now, let's look at this. I ordered coffee today, $14.46 for 2.73 pounds of Folgers. Now, Folgers is what I drink because I can't afford to go to Starbucks every day. And even if I could, there's just something in me that prevents me from paying $4 for something I could drink at home for about 13 cents. But Jana's point is quite strong. We're all paying more for everything. And see, the interesting thing is that Republicans in our state continue to say, oh, it's Biden's fault, while ignoring the fact that the nation's largest oil and gas producers posted record profits for the first quarter of this year. Now, if you are raking in billions in profits, that should go a long way to explaining why we're paying over $4 a gallon for gas, why transportation to get products to our stores has gone up so much that the prices are as well. I noticed in literally 1 week, frozen vegetables, a brand that I have bought for years at 99 cents a package, went from 99 cents to 3 for $5. You can see that that's an enormous jump. I'm grateful that I have enough money to be able to feed my family, but we don't do steaks anymore. Those days are behind us, at least for now. But what I do worry about is the family who just has to watch every nickel. And now we're in the middle of summer with more kids waking up every day not knowing if they're going to get to eat. These are the issues that we should be talking about. And thankfully, these are the issues that Democrats are talking about. If I seem agitated or angry, it's because I am. Friends, for too long, we have just been beat down. But as Tommy said, he's lost faith in our state. And I do understand that. But my message to all of us tonight is that please, we have reason to be hopeful. And while Republicans are scaring people to the polls, we're providing people hope to go to the polls and vote for change. This program has featured topics ranging from community policing to other types of law enforcement, from legal issues to education. And so it's rare that I have the chance to just speak to you openly about what's on my mind. And right now, what's on my mind is the future of this state. As I get older and start to look toward my retirement years, I have to ask the question, is this a place that I will feel safe growing old? And right now, I'm not going to answer that question because I haven't yet answered it fully for myself. But I'm saying that each one of us has concerns and fears, but we've got to bottle that into a new kind of energy, an energy that allows us to say, okay, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I will knock doors for a candidate. I don't have any spare money, but I can write postcards for a candidate. I don't have very much time, but at least I can commit to 30 minutes a week making telephone calls for a candidate I believe in. Friday night, I went to a fundraising event for a candidate for HD 90. That's not my house district. It's nowhere near where I live. But why was it important? Because the more Democrats we have in our House and in our Senate, they are representing us no matter where we live. And so we need those concerned voices. We need to position these people for success, not just to get elected, but to do their jobs once they are. And yes, it's a thankless job to be a Democrat in the House or the Senate in Oklahoma. I get that. But if we can grow our numbers even a little this year, we won't turn Oklahoma blue. It's not possible to do that in a year. It took Stacey Abrams over a decade to make the movement in Georgia that has been made there. And so I'm not fooling myself. We're not going to do this overnight, but if we can make Oklahoma just a little less red this year, then that's progress. And that gives us to next year and the time and the year after that, that if we keep moving things forward and we become less and less red, then we become purple. And once we're purple, we have a shot at making real positive change for ourselves and our families. Jana says again, we need more Democrats in the Oklahoma legislature. When I look at our representatives, and thank you, Representative Fugate, for being in our audience tonight, I see total exhaustion on their part because they go in every day and they give of themselves 100%. Frankly, I don't know how most of them have lives outside of the Capitol because it would be so draining. And yet they do it because they are committed. They're committed to the people of Oklahoma. And it's about time that everyone in our legislature started doing the same thing. Linda Goodall, I feel you. I was so afraid of going to Pride with all the hate first time I have ever missed. It's the first time you've ever missed because you were afraid. I get it. I do get it. If it's not being afraid of guns, it's being afraid of someone intolerant coming at you in another way. But again, let's begin to take that fear and turn it into determination. We don't know what the future holds, but we do know that we have a chance to make a difference. But it means every single one of us. We get together, we get excited, and then we walk away and nothing happens. This is the challenge for all of us. Don't let your guard down. Don't believe for a moment that what the Republicans are saying is true. They're still following a clown of a president who still peddles the big lie, and many of them peddle that right along with him. We're smarter than that. We're better than that. And Oklahoma deserves better than that. You know, it just, I can put it no more simply than to say this. It's up to you and me. It's up to you and me. Joshua Harris Till, candidate running for CD5, says the audacity of hope. Yes, it is an audacious thing to think that we can have hope, but we can. And I'm grateful to every candidate we have running. And some of them entered the race knowing that their chances were so slim. But they said, if we can get just a few people to vote for a Democrat in an area that has not had Democratic representation, then that's pushing the needle. And it is. And that's the attitude we all have to have. Not all of our candidates are going to win in November. We know that. But what I also know is that with us working together, pooling our time, talent, our energy, and our financial resources, we can and will play a major role in making this a better place for all of us to live. You know, it's an opportunity that was missed tonight, and I don't know what happened with our guest. I will reach out to Senator Johnson tomorrow and find out what the confusion was, and if at all possible, we'll try to reschedule her before the primary. But I thank you for the time that you have afforded me tonight to share with you some of my thoughts and my concerns, but also my hope. with Democratic candidates up and down the ballot, we have a chance for change. And change for change's sake is not necessarily good. But the change I'm talking about is one that will positively impact not us alone, but our children and our grandchildren and for generations to come. But again, that means all of us. Well, friends, I apologize that our guest was unable to be with us this evening, but I hope that you've taken something from this broadcast and that you will share these thoughts and ideas with your own to other people. Because if we can create and maintain a sense of hopefulness, then we have a real shot. I'll be back here again next Monday evening at 6:30. Our chair goes live every Monday through Friday at 4:15 in the afternoon. And I hope that you will tune in to her program as well. One day this week, she's going to be walking through how to help someone else create a plan to vote. Statistics show when we have a plan to vote, we are much more likely to vote. So tune in to see her program at 4:15 every Monday through Friday. And I hope that you'll join me here again next Monday evening when we'll feature another candidate who will be on the ballot this primary season. And again, it's only 3 weeks and 1 day. You only have a couple of days left to request your absentee ballot. And by all means, please go to the voter portal. Make sure, especially if you have not received a new voter registration card in the mail. If you haven't, then you must go to the voter registration portal, because there you can check your address. You can make sure of your precinct number, because precinct numbers have changed, voting places have changed, and you don't want to be caught on election day not knowing where to go, or worse, finding out that you've been purged. So please go to the voter portal. Make sure that your registration is up to date and that you'll be able to cast your voice, your ballot, and your heart on the 28th of June. Friends, take good care of yourself. Be aware of your surroundings, but don't be afraid, because we have hope on our side. I'm not going to let that go. And I hope and I pray that you won't either. Until next Monday evening, I'm Scott J. Hamilton on behalf of all of us at the Oklahoma Democratic Party. Have a good week, and let's work for positive change. Keep the hope, friends.